Hello and welcome to this, my next and latest chess video. This is showing a game that I just played today. That is Monday the 7th of October 2013. It's a 5-minute blitz game on the free internet chess server. I'm black, rated just around 1200, and white is rated 1300. And the opening is the English defence, and I'm calling this video in praise of the English defence. The English defence is my favourite black opening against 1d4, but I have already done an introductory video on it, and so I want to go through the moves fairly quickly because there's a move later on in the game that I want to spend a moment or two talking about. So white here plays 1d4, and I now in this position play 1e6. The reason I do that is because it does give the opportunity for white, if he wants to change course directly, is to play e4 when I play d5, and that would transpose to the French defence, which I like playing as black. So I give white that opportunity, and this will sometimes happen. Otherwise the move would be b6, and white here now doesn't play e4 but plays c4, which is a queen pawn opening. And so I now go on with the English defence move b6, getting ready to fianchetto the bishop with bishop b7. White plays knight to c3, developing, and I develop bishop b7, and this is the English defence opening. White develops bishop, dart squared bishop to f4. I develop my dart squared bishop to b4, at the same time pinning the knight to the king. And white plays a small pawn move, making a small pawn centre with e3, with his bishop outside the pawn chain, which is thought to be good according to basic chess principles, and is good as long as there's no other factor to the contrary, and there isn't in this position. Pardon me. I now play knight to e7. I don't play knight to f6 here because I like in the English defence to play the move f7, f5. It's just a variation that I like playing, and with the knight on f6 I wouldn't be able to do that. White develops knight to f3, I castle kingside, and white develops his light squared bishop to d3, which is a good diagonal to have it on, but when I play f5 now I do limit that bishop's activity on that diagonal with the f5 pawn. White castles kingside, and my whole plan now, and the plan in the English defence, is to bring as many pieces as I can onto the king side to try and attack that white castle king that's castled on the king side. Before I do that though, I play bishop takes knight on c3 because the knight is no longer pinned, and white here now has to take the bishop with the b pawn, and white ends up with double pawns on the c pawn. So that's a small advantage to me and a small disadvantage to white. White can later try and undouble the pawns, but I just take that small advantage. Now I play knight from e7 to g6, attacking the dart squared bishop of white. White retreats that bishop, and I start to bring my queen knight over to the king side by playing knight to c6. And here white plays rook a1 to c1. Well, I think the rook on the c file isn't too good, because with double files on there, progress will be slow until white can undouble the pawns on that c file. So I carry on with knight to e7, and here white thinks the e5 outpost is a good square for his knight. He's attacking my knight, and he's possibly enticing me to play knight takes knight, but I think that'll be better for white, so I don't want to do that, and instead I play d6, threatening to attack that white, capture the white knight, and see whether white wants to exchange knights. Well, white decides not to exchange knights, and he just plays his knight back to f3, and so that's better for me because white has just lost a tempo in doing that. And because the tempo's lost, I want to press on as quickly as I can and take advantage of the loss of tempo, and so I play f5, f4, attacking the dart squared bishop, but of course white just plays e takes f, and I now play knight takes f4, and here white could play bishop takes f4 when I'd recapture with rook takes f4. And my knight though is also attacking his light squared bishop on d3. Well, white elects to preserve that bishop and he just retreats it all the way back, bishop b1, and I develop my queen knight. So queen knight now to g6, and both knights are protecting one another. White plays rook to e1, attacking the weak e6 pawn at the moment. I defend it with queen to e7, and the queen's in a bit of a dangerous spot. It's a bit risky having the queen below the rook on the same file as the rook, so I have to watch out for any danger that can occur from that. But at least my rooks are now connected and my development is complete. White now tries to put extra pressure on the e6 pawn, but because earlier I'd played d6, I don't have to take that pawn now. I can simply advance it and play e5 and build my own reasonably strong pawn chain in the centre, and that relieves my pressure a little bit. And here white has seen a tactic. He can play knight to d4. I'm not sure it's very good. He knows I can't play e takes knight d4, otherwise he'd just play rook takes queen, and he may be looking at the squares e6 and c6 for his knight as good outposts to go to later. But first of all I played queen to g5 and get my queen off the rook file and alert the danger, and now I could play pawn takes knight. So white will have to look after his knight, otherwise that will be a problem for him. But instead white plays bishop takes knight on f4 when I recapture with my knight, and that sets up a checkmate move for me. Queen takes g2 is checkmate. So can white stop the checkmate and preserve his knight at the same time? Well, no, there's no way to do that. He just has to stop the mate, and he stops the mate with queen to f3, which allows me to take the knight with e takes knight d4, and then c takes d4. And now I want to get my fianchettoed English defence bishop onto the king side, and these pawns in the centre for white are stopping that. So I start to reroute that via c8, bishop to c8, and here white makes a blunder, and this is a tactic I wanted to talk about. Rook to e7 looks alright, but I missed in the game I could just play queen takes rook because I was so fixated on playing bishop to the king side, either to g3 or h3, and I decided to play bishop to h3 because this is putting so much pressure on that white king on the king side. And in fact I analysed the game with Crafty Chess Engine, and Crafty didn't mention that that was a blunder, so that was quite interesting, I thought. Well, white can now see the threat against his king here, and the rook can't help. He just brings his bishop up to try and add an extra defender, but I simply go ahead and play bishop takes g2, threatening the white queen, and queen plays queen takes bishop. So white goes down a queen for a knight as I play knight takes queen, and white recaptures bishop takes knight. But now both rooks are threatened by my queen, and here I play queen takes rook c1 with a check. White brings the bishop back to block the check, and here I just preserve the c7 pawn, but I could have in hindsight played queen to g5 check and won off the white rook again, and I should have done, but here my opponent resigned. So I thought this little tactic with attacking the bishop on the king was very interesting, how I missed outwardly going a rook up by just adding more pressure with the bishop move. Anyway, that was a good game for me in the English defence. I hope you've enjoyed watching and may be tempted to look at the English defence now. Thanks for watching.